everybody. Welcome back to the Price to Sell podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Campoli. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm a little out of breath. It's raining and I ran here. But please, guys, don't forget to leave a nice 5-star review. If you can do a 6-star, that'd be great. It's not possible, but try. But today, we have another wonderful guest for you guys. It's going to be a value-packed one. We're going to talk all things luxury, all things farming, and the man we have today on the show is going to give you guys all the nuggets. We have Mr. Adam Weiner. Thank you for coming.
It's Weiner.
Weiner.
You've ruined everything.
I ruined everything, guys, but we're not going to restart.
No, I think that's actually great. I think it's a good way to start.
Yeah.
So I'm cool with the pivot. Good for you.
Is that okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
Do you get it a lot?
Although, my whole life.
Yeah. It's okay.
All my friends call me
So you're
Weiner.
not going to hate me.
So it's kind of like a love / like if they ever want to like get at you, that like they tweak it. So it's like it comes across like, yeah. And my younger child does want to change her last name right now. But
okay.
Yeah, she came home last week and she's like, yeah, Dad, like I don't like her last name. We got to do something about it.
So you like me? We're okay?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay,
we're good.
thank God.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Let's give everyone a little bit of a brief intro into who Mr. Adam Weiner is and a little bit about your backstory, and we'll dive into it.
Sure. I mean, so I've been doing this for touching 17 years now. I've been always with the same company, with Harvey Callis Real Estate. It's funny, growing up, the branding does work. I grew up in Midtown Toronto in Lytton Park area, so like Avenue Road, Lawrence neighborhood. And it was a brand that I always, identified with. Just one of those growing up, you always saw the name, you're like, wow, like they always do this like cool kind of, luxury boutique-y vibe. Mm-hmm. And when I got my license, it was the only place that I pretty much approached. And I've been with them the entire time. It's a lovely family-run business. And when I first got started, I was working independently, kind of on my own, doing a lot of open houses. I was really hustling a lot. I would do an open house in the morning, do an open house in the afternoon. I was like really grinding, door knocking and stuff. And again, 17 years ago almost, an agent who was a prominent agent at Harvey Callis at the time, he took a liking to me and saw a lot of promise and took me into his team. So I was and it ended up turning into like a great partnership for many years. So I was with them for about almost 10 years, 10, 11 years, I think it was.
Okay.
And, over time, I grew my own brand. I was always very cautious to have a brand on a team, the Callis brand. But what I also was always doing, which is, again, we're all branding ourselves, as I'm sure you know. So I always sort of kept my side hustle, present. And over the years, I started growing my brand, my business, to the point where, I liked that environment, but I felt I could add a lot by jumping off and just doing my own thing.
Yeah.
And I started my own team about 4 years ago now. And it's been an amazing thing. Like we've doubled in our business and we have a great little group it's like very family oriented and we just, get along. Like, and we have a really like pretty simple moniker, which is, like be nice.
Yeah.
Right. Which is like, we're very, very big on service. And we love what we do. We're very passionate about it. So,
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the name, I mean, you guys is reputable. Before we met or even booked you on the podcast, I've known about you. Okay. So that says something.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah.
And so you crush it in luxury. Mm-hmm. Do you focus on a certain price point or do you kind of take in everything?
Not really, yeah. And that's the thing. People, it's funny. I get that quite often when people hear Callis. And I do have listings that are upwards of $10 million. Mm-hmm. We trade 10 million, but I'm a huge believer. And again, some of the wealthiest people I've ever seen come into a room and they're dressed like schlubs. Like you just don't know who you're dealing with. And I don't think that's a smart thing in business to ever, count people's dollars. So people do have approached me in the past and said, are you only $1 million up? Absolutely not. Because, a young person today who I'm selling a $600,000 condo might be working on an IPO and in 5 years, they're doing amazingly well. So no, I'm a big believer that service is service across the board. And what that person is today, they might have a parent, whatever. Like it's I think the referral network just, is based on itself and the dollars come secondary.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, it's just like, you're servicing tenants in the beginning of your career.
Yep.
And those tenants become some of your biggest buyers down the road,
Yeah.
So I like that.
Yeah. We actually have a junior, like an agent who just started this year. She's working with us and she's been focused mainly on leasing just to get her feet wet. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because she says to me, she's like, a lot of people I'm dealing with right now, they want to buy, but they're in between houses. A couple of them are going through divorces, different stages in life. And and I said, like, cultivate these relationships, put them into where they want to be, watch what happens in a year or two. because it will turn into sales.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true.
Yeah.
I want to dive into luxury, generally first. So just to, again, like our audience is mainly other real estate agents out there, or even people interested in luxury space. But how do you find yourself diving into that sort of market?
I think it came over years of just building and cultivating like sort of a name and a brand. And again, I'm focused primarily in one area of the city. So it's central Toronto. Yep. We do have listings here and there in different pockets. Like we just had one in Thornhill. But again, it's mostly central Toronto. So Lytton Park, Lawrence Park, Bedford Park, Forest Hill, we do as well. But for my trajectory, I originally focused on builders, actually, infill. So it's funny, as I'm sitting here with you, I'm looking at those houses right now, and I'm like, I'm going to call them right now.
Yeah.
Because I see houses under construction, and to me, that's my language. So I started in this business, and what I did was I always targeted builders. And because the other person I used to work with as well, like had a very good hookup in the builder community. So I right away sort of segued into that, and I've cultivated a lot of relationships of people who are building higher end properties. And then what's happened is over the years, a lot of them built, sold, did well, and they've graduated into higher neighborhoods. So for example, a lot of affluent builders who did well in Avenue and Lawrence, or it was called a Cricket Club, or Bedford Park, they then went into Lytton Park and then into Forest Hill. So clients of mine who used to be building $2-3 million homes, now we have houses that are coming up that are $20+ million. And that's again, just sort of riding the wave with them as they're growing their career.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's incredible.
And then from that, when you're having new construction houses, organically what happens is, again, we have listings, people call us, they're looking to sell their houses, and the ball just kind of rolls.
Love it.
Yeah.
It's really that simple.
Yeah.
Just niching down.
Yes. But again, it's, a lot of people who start in the business, I say to them, like, you have to have, I was saying this to you on the phone earlier when we spoke, like it's a long time to cultivate this, and it's a serious grind.
Yes.
Right? Because again, these deals don't just happen. People see listings, they go, oh, you're luxury. Well, yeah, 17 years later.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't happen in one day for people to have also the confidence and the trust to call me. Right.
Yeah.
And we have now a track record of houses that we sold at that level.
Exactly.
Right.
I feel like just real estate in general, people see the TV shows or maybe 2021, and they're like, oh, I'll become a real estate agent. I can make a ton of money, do a couple deals a year. It's like that quick. They want that quick fix.
Yes.
But it's not the case at all.
No, and it's funny. We had a moment a year and a half, 2 years ago, where again, when the market was crazy, and I had so many people calling me, and we had a moment where I could have like blown up my team to like 40, 50 agents and become almost like a brokerage. But I noticed that most people calling me, and it all came from a good place. They, again, to your point, they didn't understand what's behind it. They're just like, oh, I got my license. I'm finishing school. Hey, you're like a top guy. We come work with you? And I was like, well, do you understand what that entails? And then once they realized what it was, or we would put them under the umbrella of Callis to see what happens, 99% of them I just don't hear from again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's there's just a huge, attrition of people who fall off.
Yeah. It's like the stat, again, fact check me here, but it's like 5% to 95% of the business, right?
I would say for sure, if not even more.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, like honestly.
So now 2023, obviously we're in a shifting market, a lot of challenges out there. How do you find the luxury space?
Difficult. I think that the money is there, definitely. There's no question about the money hasn't changed. There is a little bit of a change, and when I say it's money, it's not liquid money. So clients who are higher end call it luxury, and we're talking 5 million plus in that space. A lot of people's stock portfolios have shrunk. So on paper, they're worth a little bit less to some clients. But that being said, these are still fairly affluent buyers who can buy. The other part of the coin, the other part of this is people know value. So buyers are not dumb, especially at any price, but especially as you're getting up into these higher echelons. They're watching the market. So when a good value proposition comes, it sells. Like we've sold a couple of houses in the last week that are $4 million plus, which is a lot of money, right? And when at one of them that came on the market, we actually had it tied up a day before it came to MLS because we knew at $4.5 million, one of them, that it was such a good buy, you had to get it, right?
Yeah.
And our clients got that. So good houses at whatever prices still sell.
Yeah.
But if you're just picking a number in the sky, no, it's got to be properly priced in this market.
Yeah.
Like the pie in the sky COVID pricing, which was working at the time, just it's not applicable anymore.
For sure.
Yeah.
And are you using any tactics, to go a little bit over and above and beyond, let's say, to acquire these buyers, extra efforts in marketing?
Well, marketing actually comes back to like you guys, like our marketing side of our team, like Kyle, who was kind enough to like source you guys out and find and see what you're doing. Like we're trying to sort of grow our exposure in your world, which I find to be fascinating. Because I was saying to you briefly on the phone before, like how I look at myself as kind of like, I know I look at you guys and I think I'm your age, but I'm not. I'm older now. I'm like, oh my God, it happened so fast. Like I'm in my mid-late 40s now. And I realized that I was brought up on a little bit of a different system of like, didn't have the social media, didn't have that outreach that you guys have. And so we're trying to now cultivate a little bit more of that sexy online presence to bring in more comfort and more of a brand with our clients.
Yes.
To feel more comfort. Where we have the old school that we do like tons and tons of flyers to houses and like newspaper ads and stuff. But that's all shifting now into your space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump right into that now, because that's something we wanted to talk about, is the combination of the two.
Yeah.
Because you can go, balls to the wall on social media, post all these things, and but you're doing no deals, right?
Well, we actually did an audit a couple of years ago. We had a company that actually came in and audited my business to say like, okay, where are we getting hits from?
Cool.
And the problem is with it was a really cool exercise actually. And the thing is with realtors is you can't quantify it. We spent a lot of money, like tens of thousands of dollars on like nothing. But the nothing said to me, the old doesn't necessarily like fully work. The new doesn't work. It's a combination of both. So for example, we send out close to 30,000 flyers every 3 weeks. We have off and on ads, our own personal ads in the Globe and Mail, which is a huge, huge paper in Toronto. And we have billboards, we have bus shelters. Like we really are our own company.
Yeah.
Like we're a brand within a brand. And it's hard to quantify where that comes from, where the leads come from.
Yeah.
We don't know. So when people call us, it's, oh, I got your flyer. Oh, I see you here. Or, oh, your name was down the street on a house. Like you were on the front of a house, like on a lawn.
Yeah.
So it comes from all over the place. It's not one thing.
Are you tracking that? Like, are you organizing it? Like, where those touch points?
We do. But again, it's hard to audit every single one because agents that we work with are getting called from different spots.
Yes.
Yeah. But I get a lot of things like what you said to me just a minute ago when we first started. Go, oh, I knew who you were, and how do you know who I am?
Yeah.
I'm just asking, like, how do you know who I am? Because you look online on Instagram. Do you know me from seeing my listings? Do you know me from like that's funny because you're an Instagram guy.
Yeah.
Have you seen my name before? Where
driving through? Yeah.
So there you go.
The signs.
That's what. Okay.
But your name in a combination with the Harvey Callis.
Yeah.
Mesh as well.
Okay.
It's just that combination of the two. That's what I've noticed.
Okay.
Especially driving through your pockets, and then Instagram. And it's I say this all the time too. I preach this all the time too. It's like the trifecta. It's like those. I'm sure you farm,
Yeah.
But
big time.
subconsciously, I'll see it driving.
Yeah.
And then I will actually take it in on the social media when I see it again, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Because it just rings a bell.
Yeah.
And I'm putting a face to that name. Then I drive through again, and I'm like, no, now I know exactly who you are.
Yeah.
On the sign. So it's like that, the combination, those touch points, just like the bus shelter, the billboards,
Yeah.
the flyers.
Yeah.
They get tossed out. Subconsciously, they see the name, and then they see you again on their way to work, right?
And that's why these clips with what you guys are doing are so important. It's funny. I actually want to credit, aside from, Michael Callis has been wonderful in trying to help me bring our team into like this next phase of what you guys are doing. But how we actually got into Instagram was actually from Adam Stern, who runs Rare.
Yep,
Rare. And he's a good friend of mine. He actually used to work at Callis, and great guy. And he got actually myself and my wife, who does a lot of our media, a bunch of years ago. He's like, you got to do social media. And we're like, what are you talking about? And we first looked at him, we were like, I didn't get it. She didn't get it. And it was just when we were starting our own team. And we spent the first couple of years off of what he was doing, trying to start it. And then we realized it's turned into this like, whoa, where now we have, 15,000 daily viewers ourselves that are just watching it. Plus we have a couple of other accounts. Between our whole team, we have probably 25,000 people, which is great on a daily. But it's a really, really, really important tool that people are watching every day. And you don't even realize they're watching it, but they are.
Yeah.
Right. That's the part that I don't get. I meet people randomly. I'm sure you get this all the time.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I see you on Instagram. And you're like, oh, okay, great. I'm like, you have, like,
Yeah, you
you
don't
have
know what
no
to say.
idea.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, oh, okay, it's kind of awkward, but yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
But it's part of the branding, right?
It is. Adam's a genius, by the way. Smart guy.
No, he's great. He's
yeah.
great. I miss him. I kept yelling at him to come back to Calais, but he had things to do in his own
course.
trajectory.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
yeah, like again, he had a very singular, like a very good vision of just sort of how to bring that audience in, which I thought was really important.
Yeah. I think a lot of people got lost in the sauce a little bit, maybe the past couple of years with just the social media.
Yeah.
I think if you want to continue to grow in this year, you really you could have carried yourself in 2021 just by being on social media because things were selling themselves and things were easy and everyone was active, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you drop everything down by like 50% in terms of activity, you got to go out there and do all the daily activities again,
Yeah. Well,
and
I was laughing at someone the other day and I was saying, this is the year of like everyone 2 years ago, I would lose listings to like someone's uncle's cousin's sister's brother.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
I remember still there was like a client of mine who literally gave it to their daughter and it was a very expensive house. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, how dare you? Like, look at me, I'm the best kind of thing, whatever, just joking around. But of course, with some reality, I was like, I'm showing you all the numbers that we sell and you're giving it to like a kid.
Yeah.
She sold the house. So there's
course.
like a week later, I was like, oh my God, she sold his house.
Of course.
We were like, so we were like doubled over, like, oh my God, screw my life.
Yeah.
And no, we realized like that is just changing now. You can't just sell anything. There has to be an ad value. You have to offer something. Like, how are you going to sell the house? So you have to be able to speak intelligently about the house, the neighborhood, the sales in the neighborhood, what else is sold, what else is coming. Like, you've got to have, and that's again why I'm a big believer in focusing on an area, because I can take you down pretty much any street in my pocket, and I know every house.
Yes.
Right? So I can speak intelligently about literally every property in the area.
Yeah. I think that's super powerful.
Yeah.
I think it's the smartest thing to do is to niche down, and I feel like it's less stressful too, because you already just have that bank of knowledge ready to go at all times, versus having to just like, okay, let me try and get a listing here now. Let me wait for the next listing here now. It's like, you're just the guy. So I love that.
Yeah.
Can we get into farming a little bit?
Sure.
What are some of the things you do to really excel in your area?
Okay, so we've tried everything. We've tried like the door hanger things. We tried like huge folders where we fold over like booklets, stuff like that. We've done everything, but we found that again, a lot of people, to our experience and from our research has shown us, it's mostly throwaways on the farming side of things.
Yep.
So what we're doing now is just volume. So our newest approach is just like relentless volume, and it's every 3 weeks. We have 3 weeks, Kyle, 4 weeks. We have a card, like he just approved a card a couple of days ago that I just got the proof for, and it goes out to, I think, 25,000 houses every 3 weeks without fail. But this is, again, been going on for years.
Yeah.
We also rotate my billboards. We have for example, a billboard that rotates at a popular corner at Avenue and Lawrence. We have another one on Yonge Street. We have another one on Avenue further up. We're just, again, very singular, like in looking at one neighborhood. And then I bleed out of that pocket here and there, but I always keep like that same annoying, like it's persistent. Like I met people yesterday. She's like, "Oh my God, I've been seeing you for years." I'm like, "Exactly.
Yes.
That's the point." Right?
Exactly.
So when you think real estate, I looked at it as Coca-Cola, McDonald's brand.
Yeah.
Like when you're thinking a burger, you think the Golden Arches.
Exactly.
So the same thing with real estate.
Love it.
But it's time. It's all about time.
It is.
Yeah.
And consistency.
Yeah.
And are you guys doing any form of like cold calling, door knocking at the same
No, and
time?
that's actually a weakness of mine and ours. Is I've been sometimes I think I'm too nice to our group in terms of like laying down the law and being that like driver. And we had a meeting 2 days ago, and I'm actually going to start implementing like mandatory door knocking, I think, for our team.
Cool.
Like we have to be proactive. And look, I'm very lucky. We were number 3 in Toronto last year, so we did like big numbers. It was really amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm really only looking up to 2 agents above me who are in the tier just above us. So how do you keep that pipeline going and growing? You've got to be proactive. You have to be hustling. Like you can't just sit on your laurels to be aggressive and do these kind of numbers. And we're nuts too. Like we're not normal. Like I'm not normal in terms of like what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have that drive to be at the level that we sustain. Otherwise you can still do a lot of deals, but to get the constant pipeline and keep it going, you've got to be very, very, very proactive.
Yeah. And abnormal.
Yes. Honestly, yeah.
It's like a prerequisite.
It's kind of like it's a bit of an OCD thing.
Yes.
Where like I'll lose a listing.
Yeah.
And like I'll get upset.
Yeah.
And then people are like, "You're an idiot. You have like a million listings."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "You don't understand.
Yeah.
I wanted that listing. You know, how dare they not give it to me?"
Exactly.
But again, that comes with the passion of it.
That's the
you know,
thing.
if you're not passionate about it and you don't breathe and live it, like I say to people all the time, a lot of people just see the glamour and kind of like what a lot of, I think, what you do is great. It gives people that like overview of it, but they don't see that daily madness of it.
Yeah.
Right. Of like what really actually goes into it. And it's nuts.
I know.
It's
and
nuts.
it's not pretty.
No, it's not.
It's not pretty.
I know it's kind of funny. So when I see like these, I think it's more like in the States and stuff. I see all these like, again, Instagram's a crazy vehicle, but I see like, clips from like people in their Lamborghinis and their big fancy watches and they're like the realtor. And I'm kind of like what?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even I don't get it. Like, I don't find what we do glamorous at all.
Yeah.
I just think it's like, it's a great job. We love it because we love dealing with people, but it's a grind. It's like a hardcore grind.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Yeah, it's a fun grind, but it's like what you're like the doctor without a PhD in anything.
Yes.
Right. So like at 4:00 in the morning on a Saturday, and your phone rings, you got to take that call.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
That rush.
Yes.
So we're getting to the end here.
Sure.
I always like to leave off with the hot topic. You have a ton of experience, a ton of knowledge. Love to get your take on the current market and your predictions for 2023, maybe going into 2024.
Buy real estate, no brainer.
Yeah.
No brainer. The city is amazing. I just went to, I hadn't been there in about 20 years. I went to New York about a month ago. Haven't been in ages since I was a kid, like, a young adult, and it just blew my mind. You get off the, you walk into like downtown, like central, what is it called? Central,
Manhattan?
No, like the main square.
Central Park?
Not Central. Oh my God.
Times Square.
Times Square. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. I was like Central Square time. But my point is, you get down to that and those pockets. Like I've never seen so many people in my life.
Yes.
Like it was so overwhelming. It took me a few days to like sort of like, decompress from that situation. And I come back to Toronto. I'm like, oh my God. We're like a really small city and we're crazy multicultural. From a world perspective, we're a very safe, very attractive place to live. Our Canadian dollar is fairly inexpensive. We're super cheap next to Hong Kong, LA, New York, many cities over in China, London, England. Like we're cheap.
Yeah.
When I sell condos and they're $1,000 a foot, there was a funny story last year where Harvey Callis paged out a recent sold, and it was like a $24 million sale in Bridle Path. It was like biggest sale ever, right? And my friend came back from England, and she was like, that was the stupidest page ever. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I have row townhouses behind where I live in Kensington Gardens in London, England. Each one is 20 million pounds.
Yeah, pounds.
Like, pounds. And I was like, oh my, so we don't even realize.
Yeah.
I think Toronto has a ton of growth left.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I was in New York. I did met some guys on Sirhan.
Oh yeah,
I did some
right.
tours.
Right. Okay.
And he has a $250 million listing.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's
that like that crazy pie in the sky.
ridiculous.
But unless you're like the Sheikh of Kuwait, like who's buying that?
I think just the Sheikh of Kuwait.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Right, or the Sheikh's cousin.
Yeah. It's a small buyer pool, probably two.
Yeah, I don't.
Population
or
of two.
Like an oligarch of some sort.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, it's mind blowing. Yeah, the people like.
Did you see that unit? Did you actually go see it?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't. I was in another one in the Trump Towers, like 15.5.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
Okay.
Nothing like crazy. Like it was a nice unit, but like 15.5 here is gonna get you something ridiculous.
But again, in a condo,
exactly.
15.5, because we don't have that built up yet like New York does. 15.5 in a condo, I even know which buildings. There's like 2 or 3. You can even barely get 10.
Yeah.
So $15 million is like, and they sell
US.
them there. I know. They sell them there like candy.
Yeah.
Right? Like candy.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you're dealing with central Toronto properties, like, even houses that I'm selling are getting to $15, $20 million. It's a lot for our market, but it's not that crazy. It's not that crazy.
Yeah.
So
I wanted to get your take on with the current rates and everything. Do you have any predictions as to maybe when you think the market might come back?
I read a lot about what happened before my time in the 1980s with the interest rates being at 12, 13, 14%, where it was really nuts.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I saw a clip the other day about how it was like a positive news clip about how rates, when they got to 14%, people were really happy. And I was like, oh my gosh, like imagine if our rates were right now at 14%, people would be like running in the streets, setting things on fire kind of thing, right? So I don't know. Some of my clientele who are in the banking world have told me indicators are, depending on what happens with the states, unfortunately, their job markets just came back with good results. So their inflation it has to do with inflation. Yep. Their job markets are still holding inflation high. I'm told our rates will start to come down later this year.
Yeah.
But the part is it depends what happens south of the border.
Yeah.
And I don't think rates are what they are. If you go back 10, 12, 13 years ago, that's what they were.
Yep.
I think people are having a little bit of COVID brain, where COVID obviously messed with all of us, but the rates were so low, people got very obviously attracted to them, and people don't like having anything taken away. So those weren't normal rates. Those were rates set to keep the market frothy.
Yeah.
Right? That's what that was.
Agreed. A lot of media, a lot of psychology.
Yeah, a lot of media and a lot of negative publicity. And when clients come to me and they're nervous and their rate changes, I think we're actually at a fairly stable rate right now. Even if it went up another half point, it's still a very healthy market.
Yeah.
It's not going to have our market drop off a cliff. If it goes up 5% more, and again, the Canadian bank knows this. If they raise it 3-4% more, they will create a massive recession. So they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that.
I agree. I do agree. And most people that come on kind of have that same outlook. So I think, but you're right, man. Buy now.
I really I've just seen it. I was laughing with someone a couple days ago, and there was like a house on a street that we sell, like in Lytton Park, and it's probably worth, I don't know, $6 million now, $6.5 million. And I sold it actually 15 years ago for $2.5 million. And I still remember, I was like, back then I was like, $2.5 million. I was like, that's a lot of money. And now $2.5 million, you're like, in certain areas, you can't buy a tent.
Yeah, I know.
It's not happening. Some of these clients come to me and they're like, oh, I have a budget of like $2 million in these locations. I'm like, I can't help you.
Yeah.
Right. So there's still a ton more growth in the city.
Yeah. People just got to zoom out a little more. Perspective, right? Looking back and things like that helps to justify things a little further.
Yeah, totally.
But you've been awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me. There's a lot of fun.
Yeah, of course, of course. And maybe we'll have a price to sell shot on the new billboard. So it'll be like us, like with the mailman.
Oh, I like that.
On your new billboard.
With random drop-ins. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect.
Cool.
But your new fans, where can they find you?
Sorry?
Your new fans.
My new fans, where can
you have new fans right now?
Oh, amazing. Where can they find?
Yeah.
Like on
Instagram.
Oh, Instagram. Yeah. Yeah. Instagram.
What's your handle?
I don't know. Adam Weiner, I believe.
Okay.
Right? Oh, I forgot to mention, I'm terribly horrible at all things electronic. I can barely turn on my phone, but I have a great support team.
So we're gonna drop all your links in the.
Going back to like, I'm the old guy.
Yeah.
Try to come hang out with you guys. Yes.
Outsourcing.
Yes.
He knows.
Outsourcing.
He understands.
Yes.
Well, to everyone out there, thank you as always for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share with every single one of your family members and the Sheikh of Kuwait, and we will see you, or their cousin. And if they do go and buy that $250 million listing, call us, and so we get the referral. But we'll see you on the next one. Peace.